The air inside Terminal B at Atlanta International buzzed with the low murmur of travelers and scattered boarding announcements. But near Gate B24, something shifted. The atmosphere thickened, as if the weight of everyone's attention pooled in one place. Captain David Merrick, tall, broad-shouldered, and sharply uniformed, emerged from behind the counter, his eyes locked onto something that made his jaw tighten. "That dog," he said, voice slicing the air like a blade, "is not boarding my aircraft." Head swiveled. At the center of the gate stood an 8-year-old girl, Mia Wallace, her noise-canceling headphones askew. One small hand knotted tightly into the fur of a calm German shepherd wearing a bright blue service vest. The dog, Max, stood like a sentinel, steady and composed, his flank pressed against Mia's leg. Mia didn't lift her head. She said nothing, but her tiny fingers dug deeper into Max's fur, her entire frame beginning to tremble. Her father, Daniel Wallace, stepped forward. A high school literature teacher by profession, Daniel looked far from combative. Calm, wire-rimmed glasses perched on his nose. He squared his shoulders, despite the fire churning in his chest. "Captain," he said evenly, "this is Max, my daughter's certified medical service dog. All documentation has been properly submitted. We have followed every airline policy." "I don't care what paperwork you have," Merrick interrupted, his voice low but sharp. "I'm responsible for the safety of everyone on board. And that animal," he gestured without looking at Mia, "is a risk I'm not willing to take." Around them, the atmosphere thickened further. Some travelers raised their phones. Others whispered in hushed disbelief. No one yet realized that what was about to unfold at Gate B24 would ripple far beyond a boarding gate. Mia Wallace hadn't always been so silent. Daniel and his wife, Hannah, had video after video of her as a lively toddler, spinning in circles, naming clouds, babbling about butterflies and trees. Endless questions, endless energy. But that was before the diagnosis that at 4 years old. After milestones went missed and emotional meltdowns grew sharper, Mia was diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder. Not long after, epilepsy followed, cruelly compounding her challenges. Her first seizure came on a chilly spring night, and nothing had prepared them. One moment Mia was laughing in the living room. The next, she convulsed in Hannah's arms as Daniel drove blindly through the dark streets, panic screaming louder than the sirens. Their world shifted on its axis that night. Hannah Wallace left her burgeoning career in corporate finance without a second thought. "My job," she told Daniel, "is Mia." She became her daughter's full-time advocate, her teacher, her protector. Daniel spent late nights combing through articles, studies, and programs until he found something: a highly specialized program training seizure-alert dogs for autistic children. It wasn't easy. Applications, grants, home visits. It took over 2 years, and then Max arrived. From the start, Max did not push Mia for attention. He simply sat, waiting patiently. After 20 cautious minutes, Mia approached and placed her tiny hand on his back. One whispered word escaped her lips: "Mine." Max wasn't just a service dog. He was her anchor. He shielded her from crowds, lay across her legs during meltdowns, detected seizures before they erupted. Max made the world navigable again. Today's flight was no mere vacation. It was a victory march to Walt Disney World, the culmination of 18 months of therapy, preparation, and bravery. Daniel had made Mia a special illustrated storybook, walking her through every step: check-in, security, boarding, meeting Mickey. Hannah had meticulously researched every sensory-friendly corner of the park. Mia had carried the Disney guidebook everywhere for weeks, pointing at Cinderella's castle and whispering, "Fly up. See castle." This day was not just a flight. It was trust incarnate. Dawn had barely broken when they dressed. Mia wore her favorite soft purple hoodie and her headphones. Max had his vest and ID clipped firmly in place. They had rehearsed airports at shopping malls, elevators, noisy crowds. All for this. The drive to the airport was serene. In the back seat, Mia kept her hand resting on Max's back the entire way, her guidebook clutched in her lap. We've done everything right, Daniel said quietly as they pulled into long-term parking. We have, Hannah affirmed, though her hand trembled slightly. What they hadn't prepared for was Captain David Merrick standing at gate B24, ready to unravel it all into the crowd. Merrick looked composed, stern, in command. But inside, an old terror gnawed him raw. 7 years earlier, on a suburban street in Houston, his 8-year-old niece had been mauled by a neighbor's German shepherd, an unprovoked, devastating attack. Scars, surgeries, trauma. Merrick had buried the incident under layers of professionalism, but it had never truly left him. When he saw Max, logic gave way to fear. He didn't see a certified service animal. He saw danger, and he reacted. This isn't up for discussion, Merrick declared to the Wallaces. The dog stays. You go without him. Daniel straightened, his voice firm. Captain, this isn't just a dog. Max saves Mia's life. Hannah stepped beside him, brandishing a binder packed with documentation. He's certified, trained, insured. We've flown before. We meet every ADA requirement. Merrick didn't even glance at it. Final authority rests with the captain. That's me. Mia began to rock, back and forth, small, rhythmic motions. The warning signs. Passengers shifted. Some lifted their phones. Murmurs grew. Daniel knelt by Mia, trying to ground her. We're safe. Max is here. But Mia's breathing grew shallow. A low hum vibrated in her chest. Max moved instantly, pressing himself harder against her. Then, in a voice broken with fear, Mia whispered, Why do you want to hurt me? The question slashed through the terminal. Captain Merrick staggered back, as if struck, no policy. No rulebook. No rank could defend against that question. Rachel grabbed Daniel's sleeve. She's seizing, she gasped. Max shifted into action. He pressed Mia gently to the floor, his weight steady, forming a protective barrier. Hannah knelt, pulling emergency medication from her bag. Please clear the area, the gate agent announced, voice shaking. Travelers retreated, wide-eyed. Merrick watched in frozen silence as Max performed flawlessly, a silent, steady lifeline. Minutes passed. Slowly, Mia's body calmed. She curled into Max's side, clinging to his fur. When Mia finally opened her eyes, Captain Merrick stood there, jacket folded awkwardly over his arm, his face pale. Ladies and gentlemen, he said hoarsely, we will be boarding shortly, and Max will be joining us. Applause rippled, hesitant at first, then stronger. Merrick approached them. He knelt awkwardly beside Mia. I'm sorry, he said quietly. I was wrong. Mia blinked at him, exhaustion clouding her expression, but she gave a tiny nod. Once we're in the air, Merrick continued, if you feel up to it, I'd love to show you the cockpit. For the first time all day, Mia smiled. Just as they prepared to board, a suited man stormed toward the counter, flanked by airline staff. Richard Simmons, he snapped, flashing a badge. Regional Operations Director. Captain, Simmons said, voice curt. Despite your decision, after concerns from other passengers and a medical incident, we are reclassifying the risk. The dog may not board. The Wallaces froze. Mia clung to Max. You're overruling the captain's call. Merrick demanded. Protecting liability, Simmons replied smoothly. And then, Dad. A teenage boy with a yellow Labrador and a woman in a Navy business suit approached swiftly. Liam, Merrick whispered. His son. The woman extended her hand toward Simmons. Sarah Merrick, she said, Chief Operating Officer. And this decision is reversed. Now, she knelt beside Mia, her voice warm. You must be Mia. And Max. He's amazing. Mia nodded. Sarah looked up. He flies. No discussion. The flight to Orlando was smooth. Mia slept against Max's flank. No disturbance. No disruption. Only peace. After landing, Merrick led them to the cockpit. He pinned a small pair of wings to Mia's hoodie. Welcome aboard, co-pilot, he said. Mia grinned and handed him a crinkled drawing. It showed a plane, a girl, her parents, Max, all under a rainbow titled, Safe Together. Merrick framed it in his office, right next to a photo of Liam and their service dog, because sometimes the most important flight doesn't happen at 30,000 feet. Sometimes it happens at a boarding gate when hearts finally learn to fly.